Just bring it up here. If it's having a hard time, just sharpen it up here. All right, rates and ratios. That's the unit that we're discussing right now. There are 3 ways that you can write a ratio. 3 ways to write a ratio. One way that you can write a ratio is as a fraction. You can write it as 25 over 17. And yes, you would leave it as an improper fraction. This is no longer considered a fraction anymore. It's called a ratio, which is a comparison of 2 values. One value compared to another one. So 25 over 17 would be one way to be able to write it. You could also write it as 25 and then the word 2 and then 17. Yes? Yes, you are. With me. And then another way to be able to write it is using a colon in between them. So 25 colon 17. So these are 2 different ways that or 3 different ways that you are able to write your ratios out. All right, so if I have a basket of fruit, and inside the basket fruit, it contains 6 apples, 3 oranges, 4 bananas, and 2 pears. So this is the setup that we have for this basket. All the material is inside of it, or all the different kinds of fruits that are inside of it. And I want you to be able to tell me the ratio of bananas to oranges. Boys in the back. Bananas to oranges. So all you would have to do is identify how many bananas are there, how many oranges are there, and then make that comparison as a fraction, as a word written ratio, or using the colon. If you can simplify, so I always advise that you write it as a fraction first. So if they're asking you to write it all 3 ways, write it as a fraction first. If it can be simplified, then you make sure that you do that. So let's first write this as a fraction. How many bananas are there? 4. So I know that there are 4 bananas. How many oranges are there? 3. Can I simplify 4 over 3? Can that be simplified? No. So we leave it as 4 over 3, and then we write it the other ways, which if you notice, hey, bananas to oranges, 4 to 3 would be another way to write this, 4 to 3. And then our last way to be able to write this is 4 and then the colon and 3. So these are our different ways to set up a ratio. Okay, if I say bananas and apples, I want to write a ratio that shows bananas and apples being compared to oranges and pears. Now remember, I said a ratio is a comparison of 2 numbers. We've got 4 different things that I've written up here, so how do I make that as 2 numbers instead of 4 numbers? EJ? Very good. You would combine, and what operation would allow us to combine them? Addition. You combine your bananas and the apples together by adding them. So we've got 4 bananas plus 6 apples. That's going to give us 10. Then we're going to make that comparison of we've got 3 oranges that we're going to combine or add together with 2 pears. That's going to create the value of 5. So then when we write it as a ratio, we've got 10 over 5. Can I simplify 10 over 5? Yes, you can definitely simplify that. You always want to make sure you do. So in simplest form, what is 10 over 5? Don't listen to what everybody else is shouting when it's wrong. 2 over 1, not 5 over 1. 2 over 1. So we have the ratio 2 over 1. And I know some of you are going to want to say, oh, it's just 2. But again, we're writing it not as a fraction, but as a ratio. And a ratio is a comparison of one number to another number. So it'd be 2 over 1. Or you could write it 2 to 1. 2 colon 1. Try this one on your own. Yeah. All the fruit. It means all the fruit that are in the problem. Write it in all 3 ways, yes. Joel? You include all the fruit. Right? Bathroom's closed. Bathrooms are closed. All of them close at 3:45. All right, Kingston. All fruit. Muhammad?
Over 2 for the fraction. Including the oranges, right? It's 12 over
Here.
2.
No. Julian? Try. What did you have?
Say all fruit, do you
1 over 4.
Not 1 over 4. Julian David. Not 3 over 12. Try again, Kingston. 3 over 15, which would start it off, right? There are 3 oranges. All fruit. All fruit means you're going to take the bananas. You're going to add the apples. You're going to add the oranges. You're going to add the pears. That's all the fruit. You have to include the orange. Orange is a fruit. Orange is a fruit. So all the fruit combined together. That means you would be taking 6 plus, or sorry, that would be 4 plus the 6 plus the 3 plus the 2. That would come out to 15. So then when you write it as a fraction, you're going to have 3 over 15. But can you simplify 3 over 15? Yes. You need to make sure that you simplify. Simplified form would be what? 1 over 5. You're a little off today. 1 over 5. Then you would write it as another format. 1 to 5. Write it in the third format. 1 colon 5. Try another one. Forget the orange, the fruit, okay? Forget all the fruit. All right, at Northbrook Middle School, there are 252 students in 7th grade and 10 teachers. Write a ratio of students to teachers. Yes, sweetie. Can you what? Yeah, if you can simplify it, do so. So that's why I say always write it as a fraction first. Check to see if it can be simplified. Wrong format though. It's students to teachers. Students should be first, teachers second. Okay, so when you're setting this up, guys, make sure that you set it up. They're telling you the order of setup. Students to teachers means that your numerator is going to be your students. Your denominator is going to be the teachers. How many students are there? 252. Man, I'd love it if there was only 10 students. That'd be great. 1-to-1 ratio.
I'll be one of them.
All right. 252 students. Teachers is 10. Now, can that be simplified? Yeah. Right off the bat, you should know it can because they're both what kind of numbers? Even. Since they're both even, then that means that they're both divisible by 2 at least. So it definitely can be simplified. Jasmine, what can we simplify it to? Very good. So 126 over 5. Again, you could type that in, type the fraction into your calculator and hit enter. It will give you 126 over 5. The other way is to write it 126, the word 2, and then 5. And then our third way to write it, 126, our colon, and 5. Yes, ma'am. Because when they simplify, they're both divisible by 2. 252 divided by 2 is 126. 10 divided by 2 is 5. Also, as I just said, if you type it into your calculator and hit enter, it'll simplify it for you. If you literally type in 252, fraction, 10, enter, it'll spit out 126 over 5. Very easy. Have what? This unit first? Because it's not the order in which the county is having us teach. All right. And it seems easier because you've already had our rational number unit. All right. On average, most people can read about 600 words. In 3 minutes. On average, most people can read about 600 words in a time frame of 3 minutes. So let's go ahead and write this as a ratio. We're going to write as a ratio of words to minutes. Go ahead and do that one. Write it as a ratio of words to minutes. over 1 is as simplified as it gets. But it's not 200 over 3. You already did the 3. The 3 is now gone. You did 600 over 3. You simplified it and it got 200, right? Does it say 200 over 3? Then why are you putting it over 3? But you already did the 3. The 3 is now gone. You've already simplified it. You put 200 over 1. Go ahead, Mohammed.
Okay. So I put in my calculation.
Quiet, guys.
Okay, so 200 over 1.
Yeah. Lucy, honey, I've already said quiet. Yes, Mohammed, 200 over 1. If we say it's going to be the words, we're comparing the words to the minutes. That means words is going to go on top, minutes is going to go on the bottom. That's 600 over 3. That can be simplified. Now, when you guys simplify it, it just tells you it's 200. But we automatically know all whole numbers can be written as fractions by putting them over what value? 1. If it's just 200, it's 200 over 1. If it was 7,000, it'd be 7,000 over 1. Everything can be written over 1. Then you can write it as 200 to 1 and 200 colon 1. On Monday, we will have an activity in which you will be solving for ratios throughout the room. It actually is. It's a race. And there will be prizes.